Show recording begins now. Hi everyone, and welcome to eLearnChat. It is March 6th, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Wherever you are, it's different. But here we are. We've got a great show today. We have with us, one person's not with us today. Dawn Mahoney is traveling, so she will not be here today. But we wish her safe travels, and we will see her the week after next. Next week, there's no show. We are all at Learning Solutions, and we will see Dawn in a couple of weeks when we have our next show. Anyway, and aside from that, today manning the chat room, I'll put up her picture real briefly. There is Leslie Zanotti, who happens to be no relation to me. No, it's actually my wife. And she is manning the chat room. She'll be asking questions or interrupting us every so often if there's a need. And before we go any further, let me introduce to you John Blackmon from Trivantis. He is the Senior Vice President for Development, Authoring Tools. And John, how are you today?
Very good. How are you today?
I am doing great. Now, John is in Florida, Boca Raton. That's your development offices, correct?
That is true. We do all the development in Florida, and then most of the business is handled up in Cincinnati.
So you make the guys in Cincinnati freeze while you guys are just enjoying the good weather, aren't you? That's a good deal.
It's really good today because there's a snowstorm blowing up there right now, and I have to talk to them and hear about it. I love it.
That's great. How often do you travel?
Not that often, every now and then, but I do have to go to the mothership every so often.
To the mothership. And then you're going to be at Learning Solutions next week as well, correct?
Yeah, it's a short drive north from here, so we'll be heading up with several people.
That's great. So if you are going to Learning Solutions, please go by, visit the Trivantis booth, and say hi to John and some of the other folks who are going to be there. And, well, you guys have done a lot of work recently, some pretty darn good work with the new Lectora 11.
I've been busy.
You've been busy. That you could tell. You guys have done just a really nice job. Complete new interface, a lot of changes. What prompted the changes? And I guess for those who don't know, Lectora 11 has a brand new interface, has kind of a PowerPoint look, a little more like PowerPoint with some additional features thrown in there. What prompted the change?
Well, Lectora has been around for 13 years or so, and through that time it has grown immensely. I mean, just feature by feature by feature, there's been a lot of growth to it. And as those things have been building, it kind of was too much for the structure to handle. So I think we've re-architected and re-engineered the features such that now you can get to all of the power of Lectora without having to go through a lot of hoops to get to it. So I think everything is laid out nicely and it's where you want it to be.
And for those who don't know, and I didn't know, John is actually, I guess you could call it Lectora's father. He was the original developer of Lectora, and I thought that was really cool. That was an extra tidbit of information I didn't know, so I thanked him for all of us who do use Lectora, and I have used it. I guess we've used it for about 7 years now, and quite successfully. We've had some really good, complex project rollouts. In fact, we've done some extremely complex projects with it that have been just great. A lot of fun working with, and so we've been. I would consider us very happy users.
It's always good to hear.
I was kidding with John in the pre-show a little bit about only one whole gripe or complaint about Lectora, and it's a small one really, but I just want better transitions. Though who knows, maybe they'll be coming soon. Fingers crossed. Other than that, you've got mobile already, and you've done a lot of stuff with that. Now I heard there's a new product coming out also. I don't know if it's out or it's coming out. Electoral Mobile. Yes,
Lectora Mobile. We're working on giving you a way to go mobile with apps directly onto your devices, tablet, phone, what have you.
Oh, so with an app rather than having to go through a browser?
Correct. And you'll be able to take that offline and yet still be able to score via SCORM interface. So if you want to, take your course, go offline with your course, and then, take the test, keep your scores, it'll still update online when you connect later on. So it's a full, two-way communication with your learning management system.
Well, that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that coming out imminently, or it's not out yet, right?
It's not out yet, but imminently.
Imminently. That's good. That's good. So it's part of the new architecture.
Yes.
So as Lectora has been growing, and it has been growing, how do you see the new interface, for example, as just one key feature, if you want to call it that? There's a lot of features within the interface. What are some of the salient points of the new interface for people who have worked with Lectora who haven't yet upgraded, or for people who may become new to Lectora?
I think the most obvious one is the new ribbon interface. So all of your menu items are on a ribbon, and even if you're not a fan of ribbons, give it a try. I think you'll find that we have really tried to think it through and try to implement it in a way that's the most friendly as possible way. We've put the tools in the right areas. We've even gone so far as that the properties of objects no longer occupy area on your stage. The properties are in ribbons as well. So now, where it used to be when you double-clicked on something, it popped open a modal window, it was on top of what you were looking at, and when changing the properties, you had to change it and then click OK. Now you can go, you double-click it, brings up a ribbon, you can change it. As you change it, the changes are seen right on your stage, right before you. So there's a lot of things like that. And there's details throughout that really help smooth the interface and smooth the work with it.
Yeah, I know I personally appreciate that on the left-hand side where you've got your outline, which now can do thumbnails. That's a cool new feature.
Yeah.
I like the fact it's much more readable now. You know, it's funny. We live in a world where as we're getting older, and all of us are getting older at one point or other, everything's getting unreadable on the screens. Everybody's going to light grays, and it's like, hello, what happened to contrast? And you guys did just the opposite. You made it much more contrast. It's just much easier to read. So,
and that's the result of extensive beta testing we did, where the beta users came back and told us, "Hey, I can't read that."
Great, that's great. And you listened.
That's where that comes in.
And you listened, unlike some other vendors I know. So no, it actually was very readable, which one thing I know a lot of us appreciate, because we work 8 hours a day on these tools many times, or eight might be a wish. We work a lot of hours on these tools, and you just want to make sure that your eyes don't get totally tired at the end of it all. And you guys did a good job on this one. Now you've done another thing I noticed, that you now have the built-in PowerPoint integration.
Yes, the PowerPoint area was always a separately sold tool, but it became time to really pull that in and integrate it into the actual product itself. So not only can you just go out and import a whole PowerPoint and create it as a title, you can also, through the interface, the direct interface of the product, you can actually open up a PowerPoint, see each of the slides, and import individual slides into your Lectora title. So we've really completely integrated that in.
Now, if I recall correctly, with the PowerPoint integration, which we just haven't used that much in the past, with the PowerPoint integration now, you still keep all of your objects as independent objects, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, that's good, because that makes
text
life...
comes as text, shapes as shapes, images, they come across.
Okay, so you still have access to all the properties, and then you can add your own interaction and properties to them.
Yes. Yep.
What are some of the biggest changes, aside from interface, to Lectora 11?
There's a whole lot of things. I think one of the bigger ones is probably design themes. So what we've tried to do is come up with the most used sizes for content. So you have really coming down to a mobile size for phone type things, a tablet size for tablets, and actually the tablet size we found works well for the desktop. We also have larger sizes to go for different size screens if people are going for larger size screens. We've taken all those down and boiled it into over 70 design themes that are easily switchable. And I don't know if this is something you used yet, but it's a great way to do it. So you can be working with your title, and you can set it up on a design theme, and let's say you've chosen a blue theme with the navigation on the right, and you can just go through and, without changing any of your content, change out your design theme, and it will automatically completely wrap your content. You can even change the size. Let's say you're going for a large format. You can change the size down to a tablet format, continues to keep all your content, and just shrinks everything down to fit. So that, to me, is a great helper for getting things done and making changes when you don't have to make changes to your content.
That's good. And by the way, for all those who are watching, if you're interested in finding out all of the new features and seeing this ribbon bar in action, I know today, I believe at 10:30 Pacific time, 1:30, I think, Eastern, there is a webinar from Lectora.
Inspiration Day.
It's Inspiration Day. And it's a good one. I actually got up early today and saw it. We were up at 5:30 in the morning. That's loyalty. Now you got to repay us for that loyalty.
No, it was worth it.
But it was worth it. It was a good presentation, and it really shows all of the new functionality and features. So I recommend, and I'm sure you're going to be doing that one again. It's a good webinar on seeing all of the new features, or at least a large part of those new features, and getting a feel for the way the product's going. And it was good. It was actually a very good webinar in terms of just giving you a good feel for, hey, this is kind of cool the way this works, and good job. And I know Tanya Seidel's been on the show before last year, and she was talking about all the new stuff coming, and I guess a lot of this, especially with the UI stuff, was probably her baby, because I think that's her thing, and she did a good job. Good job. So
yeah, it turned out real well.
Yeah, and so good work on that whole thing. Now, what do you find people use Lectora the most for? And aside from e-learning, I mean, Lectora you could actually build websites with. It's sort of interesting. A lot of people don't realize that it is really a web development tool.
It really is, and I certainly use it to build websites as well. I mean, I think a lot of people do. You can do anything. We have game creators that create games using Lectora. Just like the gentleman that you referred to earlier who created the card sorter.
Yep.
I mean, there really is almost no limit to what you can do.
Yeah. Do you find a lot of people do develop websites with the product?
We do. But usually the smaller websites. The Trivantis website used to be all built in Lectora as well.
Okay.
We had some new guys come in, and now they're changing it over. It may change back at some time. You never know. But yeah, it's good for that. I think it's a great tool. Even as a developer, I find it's interesting. I certainly know how to write a website from scratch. I can type in the HTML all I want, or I could use Dreamweaver or some other product to type HTML. But even though I can, I find it's just better with Lectora, because I don't need to go down to that level. I can just move my objects around, put them where I want, set things up. It just works. Yeah,
and you've got all the menu tools and everything else to make that actually pretty darn easy. So
yeah.
You really could develop websites with it without much of a problem. Now, Leslie, are there any questions in the chat room at this point?
Right now, nothing.
Nothing yet. Okay.
I can talk about some of the new things we support as far as inserting the objects. I think there's a whole lot of new things to discuss here. Really, just if you get down to the social objects, and this is an object. I don't know if they discussed this on the.
They did briefly.
Yeah, so I mean, we've really tried to allow you to go social. I mean, the world is going Twitter and Facebook and so forth, and what we've given you is a way to easily put into your course, share buttons, like buttons, tweet buttons, Twitter feeds, base piles, things like that. I mean, just with a single click and a few things, you can have your Twitter feed come in. So if you want, on your page to have a Twitter feed on there, you can easily just drop that in, size it, put it where you want, and you'll see your feeds roll live as you view the course. RSS feeds, again, same thing. We've given you RSS feeds and a way to put that in.
I notice you've got YouTube right now also as well.
Yeah, YouTube. YouTube we've actually just really exposed. I think we always had it as a way you could put it in there, but we've kind of exposed it out onto there so you can really see how easy it is to put a YouTube video in.
Right. It actually was pretty easy before, but it's a lot easier now because it's right there in front of you.
Right, and exactly what we tried to do. So we tried to take the most use thing. After 13 years of doing this, we kind of know what people want to do and where they're going with this thing, and so we try to expose those things that they use the most right at your fingertips, so a single click can get it there.
Now, John, a lot of people use you folks have a media library, and it's sort of interesting because back in previous versions, a lot of people didn't realize that because it was not overtly apparent, and now it's really at the forefront. What have you guys done with the media library?
Yeah, I think that's something that we do that's very different than anyone else, and I really like the use of it. So the media library, along with several other things, are on the right-hand side of the application. We have what we call our slide-out area. So that when you just mouse over that area, it automatically slides out, and you can see all of your stock buttons, all of your character poses, all of your clip art, all your Flash activities, as well as media online. All of that is available just by mousing over to the right. It slides it out. But we've extended it. I mean, our intention was always to extend it, but we wanted to get a way to make it so it was so built in that it was just natural for the user to get to it. We've also included your My Library area there on a separate tab so that anytime you use a resource, be it an image, video, audio, whatever it is, that there's something that you want to be able to get to really quickly, you can just add that media in and then sort it into folders within your library area on the right, and that's all there. And the third thing that we've added over there on the right-hand side is the title resources. And so when you're working with a title, all of your resources, images, video, audio, what have you, that are in a title are always available there. And so if you have an image and then you need to put it on another page, you don't have to go search through your left-hand pane, find that image. You can just go right to your title resources and drag it back onto the page, and we'll create another instance of it right there for you. So we had always been building and expanding the media library out to do all these things, but then realized it was so hidden you couldn't get to it. We brought it out to the forefront, so it's much more usable now.
Now, one thing I noticed is that you now have, I guess, a quick access menu for things that you use often.
Yes, that's at the top left. That's the quick access toolbar, the quad, as we like to call it. Yeah. And we put a few things up there. We've populated with a few things immediately. We have save, undo, redo, and publish. Those are really the things that are always available. Some people call it the permanent ribbon, if you will, the perma ribbon, but it's known as the quick access toolbar. You can also configure that. You can add any command up there you want or remove the commands that you've given you. So let's say if you always add, if really what you want there is you want to be able to always add a text block just by clicking up there, great. You can put the text block insert up there, click on it, add a text block.
Yeah, that's nice. Speeds up development a little bit because there's always actions you do all the time. And so why not have them in a place you can just quickly get to them?
And they're different for everyone. So you have to make it configurable so that they can, add their favorite actions up there.
Yeah. Now, there was one other thing, and, so I was just thinking about this a second ago, and of course it slipped my mind. It'll be back in a moment, that I thought was really kind of neat. And I don't have it.
Let me throw one out that I think is pretty cool that we do that I don't know that anyone else does is just the QR code. I mean, if you look around you in the world today on all the signage and everywhere you go, there's QR codes because people want to get things mobile. It's become the way to get textual information from a sign or a website into your phone. What we've created is the QR code creator that allows you to put that into your web page or course or whatever it is that you're creating. And you can create things such as directions. You can send a text. You can put meeting notice, calendar notifications, all kinds of things into a QR code. So that if in a course somebody needs something to take on their phone, you can just have them snap the QR code and boom, they can take that information with them. So it's a way to mobilize information on your course.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, getting back to like an e-learning kind of thing with questions, the whole question engine looks like it's been rewritten. It's a little, I guess, much more graphical in terms of the way it's used. And I noticed something. I caught it quickly in the webinar. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but you can do CSV import now of questions. Is that what I saw?
It is true, and actually, you've always been able to do CSV import for questions, but I guess it was always a little bit hidden, and so it was something that was deemed very useful, and so that's another feature that we just brought out into the forefront. Before, it was only on the import tab. I believe if you went to the import menu item and dragged down, you would see the import CSV. Now we've kind of brought it out to the forefront so that you can see you can import that.
Yeah, that was good. I was one of those who's never actually used that, and I'm thinking, we could have probably used that a couple of times.
Sure. If you think about a time when you have, let's say you're creating a course and you have a bank of 300 questions out there. Well, the best way to do that is obviously just to have someone go into Excel and write them all out. This way you can just have them in Excel, export as a CSV, import as a CSV, and boom, you have them in your course.
Yeah, that's a nice feature. It can definitely speed up development time, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, in your experience, are you finding a lot of people are using right now Lectora with mobile, or is it still pretty much desktop bound? Or e-learning on the whole? I mean, everybody's heading towards mobile, but the reality is most large companies don't allow it. So I'm always wondering, what the need versus the want. How many people are you finding actually using mobile for development?
For development or for deployment?
For deployment, I should say. For deployment.
Devices? I think I think the trend, it's not been a long trend. It's been talked about for a long time, but the trend now is finally moving towards mobile. We are seeing people putting courses, and mainly towards tablets, not really as much towards phones. I know there's a lot of
phones are tough.
Talk is about, the talk is about phones. But a phone, I mean, you have to have very short pieces of content to really work on a phone. It's a very unique environment because it's so small, and the attention span of a person on their phone is very short. So
it's probably better for video.
Yeah, a quick video, maybe a 2-page, textual thing with some information that they need while they're on the run. But tablet deployment is happening, and I think it's happening at a large rate. And by the end of this year, we won't even be having a conversation about it because that'll be the way. It won't be a shortcut. And I think that we're getting a lot of input from customers on it. So I think we're starting to see it actually have the big movement has happened towards tablets.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, we work with a lot of financial institutions, insurance, and boy, it's really hard to get any kind of mobile there because of so much security issue, and especially customer information. But we know some that are heading in that. We also work with some law enforcement. Again, they can't do that. So, we're dying to get into more mobile development, but a lot of the people we're working with don't even go there. I don't know if they will. Maybe if they can get security down pat. And you're also now supporting TCAN.
Yes, TCAN publishing is a big thing. We're working with the gentleman at Rustisi and a few other people to get TCAN support in. We've got our current version in, and we're looking forward to the 1.0 release of TCAN. We will certainly have that ready as soon as it is ready.
That sounds good. And
I have a question
for
John.
Yes.
Are the touch gestures supported for your mobile deployments?
So that would be the swipe gestures, like a swipe left, swipe right.
Yes.
In the current version, it is not. However, I may know someone with inside knowledge of Lectora and look for that soon.
Good.
Good. Yeah, there are ways to support the touch gestures, and we've had another reason why I know tablets are well used. We've given customers the JavaScript to handle touch gestures in the past because they wanted to put it in. To put it in currently, it's as simple as a external HTML object at the title level to support that.
Okay. Do you have that available for folks who ask for it, or is it on the web?
It's I believe it is referenced in the forum on the site, but if it's not, they can certainly call support and get that anytime they want.
Great.
So, John, contextually, I'm curious what you see, or what you folks are seeing. Where do you see the future of e-learning right now? That's a tough question. It's kind of wide open, but what trends do you see, aside from mobile, happening?
Well, I think the overreaching trend is that everything is going e-learning. You see it even at the K through 12 range, which you didn't think you would see it as much. College, you have the advent of MOOCs, right? MOOCs are becoming enormous right now. Well, and that's a lot of content that needs to get created. So I think we're in a good place for that. But just the avalanche of e-learning is the trend. E-learning itself is the trend, right? Because there's so much that was traditional learning that is now moving to e-learning. I've always been surprised, and I think that part of that is the tablet for the K through 12 market. Tablets are everywhere. They are pervasive, and kids like to use them, and they'd rather use content on them. Kids are getting their books in college on tablets now.
I know, that's great.
Yeah, and so I think you see acceptance of e-learning as traditional learning. I mean, so some of the colleges are moving towards complete e-learning, and then when you go in to take the test, you sit down at the test and do the test. I think you're going to see more of that. So I think the trend is going to be moving all of our education, not all, I mean, there's still going to be some traditional, but the bulk of our traditional education will be taken via e-learning.
Yeah, that's true. And in publishing, it's amazing what's been going on, because now, if you look at desktop publishing, for example, about 30% of books right now, according to Amazon, are now on Kindle. That's still a lot of books. I mean,
that's an amazing number.
30%, and more. Just about everybody is now releasing Kindle versions as they come out with books. And I know I've been reading digitally for about 13 years now, since the original Pocket PCs, and I love that format. For me, it's great. I used to carry 10 books with me when I traveled. Now I carry about 250 books on my either iPad or my phone, and it's great. And the same goes through, like you said, for learning, especially if you can take the learning offline. If you're on a plane or something, you can't really do it online, at least not easily. But offline, now you've got the ability to take all the training you want and then have it updated later on, or send your records off to an LMS. Now, are you involved with the course mail team at all?
A little bit. I originally was, on the team. We all kind of worked together on it, but that is now a separate team. But I'm quite familiar with it.
Okay, because CourseMail, actually, for those who don't know, is a very good LMS. It's simple, it's powerful, and it works pretty darn well. We've done some deployments for companies with it, and have been pretty happy with that one does too, and it works very well with Lectora and other authoring tools. No, haven't run into issues. So on the whole, that's another good development effort by you guys.
Thank you.
I have a question.
You have a question? Okay.
Is Lectora exploring integration with any ARS?
ARS?
Mm-hmm.
What's an ARS, just out of curiosity?
LRS or ARS?
It said
not sure.
ARS.
ARS. I'm not sure what the term ARS is referring to.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Audience Response
TCAN
System.
Learning Record System.
Oh, audience response system. Okay.
Audio. Oh, the little. Yeah, I'm familiar with those.
Yeah.
We have talked about it, but I think the integration with an audience response system would probably be through an external HTML object. So the audience response system, I'm assuming they're referring to those scenarios where you're doing live learning and you give the audience a way to respond, and then you can total up what their things are and show it on screen. Those generally work with a behind-the-scenes web application that displays those responses. You certainly could do that through a web window, actually, with Lectora right now. So, although it's not a direct link to any particular audience response system, you certainly could put up using Lectora V11 today. You could put up a web window, put it to the page that's displaying those results, and display the results.
So you could do it that way. Yeah, because a lot of those ARS systems are used in movie screenings. When you go before a movie's released, they sit you down in a movie theater, and you've got your little device in hand, and you press like or dislike, or they have knobs where you go from 0 to 10. If you like it, you go up higher. If you hate it, you go down lower. And they're really interesting because they get real-time results on those. I'm not sure. I guess they could help in e-learning. I'm not sure how important that would be in e-learning. I think it would be good if you could send electricity back to the student, and that way kind of wake them up and kind of shock them a little bit. That might be a little bit better. But
I've actually seen it, and I've been a participant in learning conferences where you have they while you're going through. It's just like when you have an online learning course and you occasionally ask the student a question to make sure they're awake.
Yes.
They occasionally poll the room to make sure we're awake, and we hit our little ARS device, and they display the results immediately. And it's amazing how honest people are when they're anonymous.
That is true.
So you get quite the honest responses.
Yeah, that's always interesting. So there you go. That was a good question. ARS.
Yeah.
Who asked that one, by the way?
Anthony Bonet.
Oh, Anthony, quit asking those kind of questions. But
Good question.
Now, out of curiosity, Anthony, where would you see that useful in e-learning for what you're doing?
He's probably typing away. Oh, they're in the process of having all of their safety and food safety courses in an ARS environment.
Interesting. So people could actually interact that's interesting. And this is for in-house.
Yeah, well, Anthony, on that one, you should be able to use a web window because the ARS system will come with a back end that'll display the results in some sort of graphic format. And you can just use a web window to point to that, and you have it right in your course.
So people would have immediate results right from that web window. That's pretty cool, actually. I guess that is a good idea. If you're doing, I could see that for compliance training. If you make people come to a compliance thing at the same time, you could get interesting feedback right at that moment of what people do, what they don't do. That actually could be interesting.
And they're using it for large groups.
For large groups, because they're all going through the training at the same time. Yeah, fascinating.
In any time, especially something like a MOOC where you have thousands of people signed up, you always will have a few hundred people at the same time, and gathering those results and displaying them real time is a great way to do it.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, because he says they don't have enough time for doing one-on-one e-learning courses from off the line.
So they get them all on the line and they all work together on it. That's pretty good.
Cool.
That is interesting. I could see other groups, anywhere where you have that group environment, that could make sense. That could come in handy.
Well, and that's the beauty of e-learning. It applies just about everywhere.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Yeah, the rapid pace of technology means that we have to learn all the time. Before, I think, many years back, you could go a long time, learn your job, and then just do that one thing forever and ever. But that's not what we live in today. I mean, learning is a part of every job.
Not anymore. Yeah, it's funny. I know some people that were doing the same job literally 30 years, and now they got moved into different e-learning jobs, and you could so they're not happy, and you just go, welcome to change. Change happens.
Yeah, if you stop learning, you stop working.
That's true. Nowadays, that's very true.
Actually, Anthony brought up another issue. This is a good, flexibility. They use the ARS for the large groups, and then the folks who miss the ARS, they do the one-on-one to supplement that or to add to it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to do it. Wanted to ask you a little bit because I know I've had some pre-questions on this where people sent me notes asking, can you ask about HTML5? And so I will ask you about HTML5. Is that, and I haven't, I imagine with that app you're doing and with the mobile, you're probably using, if not a lot of HTML5, elements of HTML5.
Oh, absolutely. Lectora is one of the few products that was always HTML in its implementation. And we have, even in prior versions, we used pieces of HTML5 where it made sense. But with V11, we've gone full bore with the HTML5 doc type media displayed in HTML5.
Okay.
And there's everything about it is HTML5 compliant. I mean, we're moving forward that full bore. I think we endeavor to make everything run on a tablet because when anyone creates an app, an e-learning course right now, almost the first question is, will this run on my tablet? Okay. And you always have to be aware of that.
Yeah, it's amazing nowadays. That is, it's funny, even companies don't use tablets, they want it on the tablet. It's a sort of a funny kind of thing. I don't know, I don't want it, I don't have it, but I need it. Okay, that sounds good.
All right.
We're with you. Now, another thing I noticed that was new, and this one was actually pretty exciting because for us it creates a quicker workflow. You no longer, I mean, in the old days, you had to create your audio as WMAs, Windows Media Audio, in order to do events. Now, I guess you don't have to anymore.
That's right. We previously supported WMAs and FLVs.
Mm-hmm.
We would also convert to FLV.
Right.
And that's because it played inside of the FLV played inside of the Flash player. Well, we now support events with MP3 audio and MP4 video,
Nice.
Which is fantastic because this allows you to use those events on your mobile devices.
Yeah, that's
so now
nice.
you can synchronize with audio and video on the mobile device and get things to pop up and flash or do whatever. Any action can be tied to an event. So
that's great. We've been looking forward to that one because a lot of times we're stuck in that Windows Media Audio, which doesn't work in all platforms as well.
Right.
So this is a good thing, and that means you can convert your files to either MP3 or what was the other one?
MP3 for audio and MP4 for video.
MP4. Okay.
Yeah, and Lectora will do that for you automatically. If you can do it outside. If you're doing your own audio processing, it's best, I guess, to create it, outside. But even if you have a WMA file, we'll convert it over to MP3 for you.
Okay. So that's good. So it's a good feature. So FLV is pretty much, is it gone or is it?
It is still there. We support it because it's legacy. I mean, if people want to create, FLV will still run in our current media player. The media player is a Flash wrapper, if you will, that plays it in Flash, and it still works. And you can, Flash still has a lot of features that are a little bit more than HTML5. You can skin it. You can do a lot of different things to it. But for what we need to do, you can also do it just using the HTML5 player. We can get events to work. We can do like that. So it works very well. Yeah,
actually, it's sort of funny. If I can get political for a second and get everybody ticked off. If there's anybody who should probably be removed, it would be some of Adobe's executives for destroying Flash in so many ways. Flash is a cool environment, and it worked really well, and it works really well, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. But in the mobile world, it's just about disappearing, and it's interesting. It was geared to be a very good solution, and isn't it amazing how you can go from the most ubiquitous player to nothing?
In a short time frame.
In less than a year.
Yeah, I am certainly one of those who was absolutely incorrect about how long it would take to go to become
I thought it would take 5-6 years minimum.
Yeah, it was just so entrenched, and there were so many developers in it, and now that is all. It is moving at record speed away from it, and even Adobe is dropping.
They're dropping it, which is funny. Yeah. And Steve Jobs is in his grave going.
He is. Absolutely.
That was his parting blow. He says, before I go, I'm not going to heal the world. I'm just going to destroy Flash.
Yeah, and he succeeded.
And he succeeded. It's just amazing. And it actually happened after he passed away. So you just go, wow, that was a good one.
Yeah, to me, the death knell for that was when Android dropped Flash. They were still going with it, but now you get the new Android, 4.0, any ice cream sandwich device.
Yep, no Flash.
No Flash.
No Flash. I mean, I think you can get it to run with the old legacy player, but it's just, it's pretty amazing. It's just sort of one of those things you just go, okay.
Guess it's time.
But it's time.
I have a question from Leva.
Yes.
She wants to know about integrating Captivate published files into Lectora with either Swifts or HTML5.
And great question. We have worked to make that as smooth and easy as possible. So the thing about Captivate is it requires several support files. And with Lectora before, that was always a bit of an issue, is to integrate all of the files. You could always integrate a single Swift file. That was very easy to do. But when you have multiple support files, or like the entire support directories underneath, it became a challenge to import in Lectora. Could be done, but there was a little bit of work that had to be done in getting those extra directories in. Now with the web window, within Lectora v11, you have the ability to add what we call local web-based content. And so you just point it to a directory and say, I want this to be my start file, and it will pull in all of that content. So if you published HTML5 with Captivate, then you just give it the first file and give it the directory and say you want to include all subdirectories, and we will automatically include all those files and all the subdirectories along with it, so it will publish.
Nice.
The same with a multi-file Swift publish. You can just add, you'll include that Swift, but then all of the supporting files, you can just add that directory as a directory, and we'll include all of the files in that directory.
Yeah,
and all of the
that's nice.
Yeah.
She wants to know if you can do that with Zebra Zaps.
I suppose so. If Zebra Zaps creates, I have not done that personally, so I'm not going to.
I could probably answer that one.
I think HTML, yes.
Yeah, they can do an HTML probably loader. So, and in essence, it's just a web object at that point, because the Zebra Zaps is hosted. So as long as you have a pointer, I guess, to their site, you could do it. When people ask me what's one of the things I like best about Lectora, to me it's a container for just about anything. I haven't really found anything you can't contain in it, because think of it as an HTML development tool. You can put anything in HTML one way or another, and that works just beautifully. Now, I have one question that comes up a lot, and we've heard this from a lot of different people throughout the years, and this isn't a Lectora problem. I mean, it's everyone's problem. People say, it doesn't work as well on my browser. I got news for people. Nothing works as well on anybody's browsers anymore. It's a real issue in the industry. The browsers are really starting to diverge from being 100% compatible with each other. They're not. What are you folks doing or trying to do to try to make the Lectora code as compatible with different browsers? I mean, it'll run one way on Firefox. It'll run a little bit differently on IE. IE runs well with Lectora. Firefox sometimes has issues. Chrome has some issues. But it's not just Lectora. It's everybody. It's every single tool out there. What are you finding, or what are some of the solutions you're looking at to make sure that your code and your courses can run on just about anything?
Well, now you're talking about where I spend the bulk of my time.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
That is the challenge. It's the challenge for everyone. As you said, it is the challenge for everyone.
Yeah.
Right? So what we try to do is we create a wrapper layer that looks at all of those things. And we, at runtime, the code changes itself. And we run different code depending on what the capabilities of the browser are.
Okay.
And we have that in a lot of different areas. And we try to do it with each browser the same. Now, there's a few things that just, you just can't do, right? So, I mean, my worst nightmare is always text spacing, text height.
Right.
Every browser is different. Different versions of the same browser are different, and they produce it all differently. So we always try to get somewhere in the middle where it works just as close as it can on each browser, but just a nightmare on text height. And you'll find that with little pieces here and there, but that's one of the things of using Lectora, is that you can, remove yourself from that at least one layer out. And that's what we do is on the inside. We create all the JavaScript on the inside to say, hey, it's Firefox, I need to do this. Oh, it's Internet Explorer, I need to do this. So we try to handle that for you under the covers.
Are you finding the same thing, though, that the browsers are just going off in their own directions, adding their own extensions, and not necessarily as compatible. I've noticed on web pages, you go to product sites, and sometimes you've got text completely overlaying text. And you just go, wow, this is just sad. And that could happen on Firefox. I see that a lot on Firefox, actually, which used to be still is my favorite, but I run into just issues with it on rendering. IE, actually, have you noticed that the new IE that came with Windows 8, I think it's IE, is it 10?
IE 10.
It's actually pretty clean.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the nice thing about IE, I guess, is everyone tests on IE. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're ever going to find a web page that somebody didn't look to see if it worked on IE.
That's true.
You know?
But I find that IE, and we ran one of our courses on IE that we did. It was about a 6-hour course. Ran beautifully. It was a Lectora course. Ran beautifully on IE 10. Just, it was clean.
They sped it up a lot, actually. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm a huge IE fan.
I'm not either, but you know, this one worked well.
Yeah, it's a lot faster than it used to be. Mm-hmm. It's a lot better.
Yeah, they've actually put some effort into it. I'm always amazed when Microsoft does something like that, but that was a good one. And Chrome, are you finding more and more people using Chrome?
Yeah, I think the latest statistics are something like almost 20%. And
20.
Chrome,
okay.
I'm one of those, right? I use Chrome all the time. The one area that Chrome always gets, and I will never understand why it's their technical decision, but when you run content locally off your local hard drive on Chrome, Chrome doesn't load cookies. So things like variable, a whole lot of things have problems. They don't quite work right when you run it locally. Works fine when you're running it from the web, so published material on an actual course will work fine in Chrome. But running from your local hard drive, and that's a technical decision. They try and defend it on their site as to why they don't do it. But
interesting. Well, I guess they have to. It's less security dealing they have to do.
That's what. Yeah, that's
probably
exactly
the biggest. That's probably the biggest factor for them on that one.
I have another question.
Yeah, and that's going to be our last one because we are almost out of time.
Okay. Going back to the integrating other products into Lectora, like Captivate, ZebraZaps, if they come in with scoreable objects, or let's say questions are the most common, can you pass scoring from those published files through Lectora back to the, let's say, LMS?
Yes, I believe so. Again, I'm not going to be able to comment directly on ZebraZaps, but as long as those pieces, those things you want to put in, be it a ZebraZap capture, as long as they have some ability to call JavaScript, you can get it into a Lectora variable, and any Lectora variable can be submitted. So we do it. Right now we do it with Flypaper natively, right? So if you create something in Flypaper, it natively can write to variables, and we put it out. But we have done that with several things in the past where we have it write to variables. It's very simple to do to set up a Lectora variable. So yes.
Okay, so set the variable and pass it. Okay.
And the key there is to make sure that they have JavaScript so that you could send, so that wrapper on their end can talk to whatever wrapper you've got. And
exactly.
Yeah. It can still get tricky though.
It is a little tricky, but I don't want to get too technical on the call. But I mean, it's as simple on our side as once you have availability of that information inside of JavaScript, if the name of the variable is, let's say my variable, it would just be var my variable dot set, and you give it a value, and then boom, it's in Lectora. It's no more complicated than that.
That's good. Well, we are at the end of our time. John, a real pleasure meeting you and finally meeting you. And like I said, we've been longtime users already and love the product. So you guys have done a great job on this new one, and can't wait to get our fingers into it, actually. That's going to happen probably in about a week. And so we wish you the best on that one. And if you have questions, you can always see John next week at Learning Solutions if you are in the Orlando area. Or any other shows you're going to soon?
No, Learning Solutions is the only one right now.
Okay. Well, John, appreciate you being here and taking time out. I know you guys are busy. And best of luck with Lectora 11.
Thank you very much. Glad to have been here.
You have
Thank
a good
you, John.
one. And for all of you guys in the chat room, thanks for being there. We appreciate your company and your interactivity. And if you're watching the show recording, please leave any comments and subscribe. We'd like to hear from you, and we'd like to make sure that we're fulfilling your needs. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, John.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Leslie.
Thank you.
Okay, the recording's over. We are still live.
Oh, all right.
That was good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Wasn't too painful. All right, we can take the rifles off of him. No, we're good.
I like the whole chat format. I mean, it's just
It's just kind of relaxed, and we kind of get into things. And it's always fun when you start getting questions from the audience. Like the ARS one was a good one, isn't it? I was going, what's an ARS?
For a little while, I was going, okay, ARS, LRS, what is...
I know LRS I've heard, but I go, ARS? He's talking about an AR-15. That's what he's doing. Yeah.
No.
But I mean, I was really wondering, what's an ARS? And when he said that, I go, right, audience response system. I forgot it. It's not something we see on a daily basis.
No. But I've used it before. I've been to courses where I've used it. It's kind of cool.
It's interesting, and it is interesting with the feedback you get. You're so right. When you get an anonymity, boy, things change.
Dead honest. The teacher asked one thing about the course, and she got all negative responses as she's sitting up there.
She's sitting.
Wow.
Yeah. At which point you go, okay, I think it's time to leave.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to shut the live room down now. And again, John, you being here and taking time out, I'll let Peter know it went well. We're not live anymore, by the way.
Yeah.
I just shut the live thing down. And now we're looking forward to working with it. Like I said, the last couple of weeks we've just been extremely busy wrapping up some projects and haven't had a chance to even download it, but that's coming. It's just usually we're one of the first people to download something. This time our timing was off. But I'm looking forward to it.
I think you'll like it.
Oh, I think I will. Just from what I saw this morning, I was going, oh, man, I got to get into that.
Well, Rick, they made it so much easier. It's going to be even faster to learn now.
Well, it's funny because when we use Lectora, we find Lectora one of our fastest development environments, bar none. And, we use...
easy.
And by the way, it's just us three.
And powerful,
yeah, and just
even though it's easy.
Yeah, and it's just us three right now. Everybody's gone. I just like the tool. It's easy. I love the metaphor, the way it works. I like the chapter, subchapter, subsection, and then page metaphor. It just works well.
Yeah, the inheritance is what it really all comes down to.
Yeah, the inheritance is great, which throws... Yeah. It's funny how many people, the brains explode on that, but it's really quite easy.
No, it makes it easy.
I agree. I think the key with Lectora is once everybody gets it, they get it. And it's like, great, but so few people get it without having it really explained to them. Inheritance.
Okay.
To me, it's just natural. I thought, this is great. I came up with it, right? I thought it was a great, this is how we'll do it. And we laid it all out. And